Have you ever been told you're just too sensitive? Or maybe that you're overly emotional? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden science of your nervous system. We're going to find out what's really going on when the world feels like it's just turned up to 11. All right, let me ask you something. Do you ever just feel totally overwhelmed by the world around you? Like loud noises, bright lights, even just a really chaotic room? That feeling where you're just completely frazzled and everyone else seems totally fine? If you're nodding along right now, you are definitely not alone. I mean, not by a long shot. Researchers have found that somewhere between 15 and 20% of the population feels this way. Think about that. That's as many as 1 in every 5 people.
So there's actually a scientific name for this. It's called sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS for short. And here's what's so fascinating. This isn't about your eyes or your ears being somehow different. Nope. It's all about your brain and your central nervous system. They're wired to process everything, sights, sounds, emotions, way more deeply and intensely.
Okay, so what does it actually mean to be what a lot of psychologists call a highly sensitive person, or HSP? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and break down the key characteristics. So, folks with high SPS, they tend to have a much stronger reaction to things like caffeine or loud noises. They're also the ones who, in a new situation, will kind of hang back and pause to check, just take it all in before they jump in. Now, this deeper way of processing things, it's often linked to some amazing upsides, like greater creativity and empathy. And let's be super clear here. Researchers stress this is not a disorder. It's an innate biological trait you're born with. And get this, it's been found in over 100 other species, everything from fruit flies to primates, which tells us it's probably a pretty important survival strategy. Okay, so if this is a super common trait, and it's been around for ages evolutionarily speaking, what's actually going on inside our bodies, right? What's the wiring that makes this whole system tick? Well, to figure that out, we have to look at our body's ancient built-in alarm system. Think of it like this incredible surveillance network that's been getting upgrades for millions and millions of years. Every single one of us, it doesn't matter how sensitive you are, has this system running in the background 24/7. And you don't even know what's happening. It's not part of your conscious thinking mind. It's this deep, primitive part of your brain that is always scanning your environment and even what's going on inside your own body for any hint of safety or danger. The scientific framework that helps us understand all this is called the polyvagal theory. It's a way of explaining how our autonomic nervous system, the automatic part that handles your heart rate, your breathing, your digestion, all the stuff you don't have to think about, how it shifts our body into totally different states based on the signals it gets from the world around us. Okay, and this is where it gets really cool. This system doesn't just have one setting. It has 3 distinct modes, and they're stacked in a hierarchy. The best way to picture it is like an evolutionary ladder of responses. So let's climb down it step by step. Right at the top of the ladder, you've got our newest, most evolved response, the social engagement system. This is our safe and social mode, right? It's when we feel calm, we can connect with people, we feel good. But if our brain picks up on a threat, bam, it kicks us down a rung to the much older fight-or-flight response. Suddenly, our heart's racing, we're ready for action. And what happens if the threat is just too big to fight or run from? We drop all the way to the bottom rung, our most ancient, primitive instinct, shutdown. This is that freeze response, kind of like an animal playing dead. And remember, every single step down this ladder is a totally automatic survival reflex. So who's the master controller here? Well, for 2 of these 3 states, it's this incredible thing called the vagus nerve. Seriously, think of it as a biological superhighway, a massive cable running from your brainstem all the way down to your major organs. And this highway has 2 main lanes. The new one is myelinated. That's like having a fiber optic internet connection. It's super fast, and it runs our safe and social state. But the older lane is unmyelinated. That's more like old-school dial-up internet. It's slow, and it controls that immobilizing shutdown response. This one nerve, it's the key to the whole ladder. So what's the trigger? What's the mechanism that decides which rung of the ladder we're on at any given second? Well, it all boils down to the science of safety. And this process has a name too. It's called neuroception. It's basically your nervous system's built-in radar for assessing risk. And it happens completely without the conscious thinking part of your brain getting involved. That's the key takeaway here. This is not a choice you're making. It is a completely automatic, reflexive process. So when your neuroception radar picks up on cues of safety, like a friendly smile or just a peaceful, quiet room,
It sends these all-clear signals. That calms down the brain's alarm center, the amygdala. Once the alarm is off, the smart thinking part of our brain, the cortex, can come back online. And boom, our social engagement system is activated. We feel calm, we feel connected, we can think clearly. But if that neuroception radar detects danger, the exact opposite happens. The amygdala, that alarm center, just fires up and basically hijacks the whole system. It slams the brakes on our social engagement system. That goes completely offline. And the body instantly starts preparing for fight, flight, or, if things are really bad, a total shutdown. Your entire internal network gets rewired for one thing and one thing only: survival.
Okay, let's bring all this theory down to earth. Let's talk about a place we've all been. A place that's not always our favorite: the dentist's chair. Trust me, this is where it's all gonna click. I know what you're thinking. What on earth does the ancient wiring of my nervous system have to do with my teeth? And the answer is, actually, a whole lot. Okay, let's just follow the chain reaction here. When your nervous system senses stress, what happens? First, the amygdala, the alarm, goes off. That, in turn, triggers the sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight mode. And what's one of the physical things that happens then? Bruxism. Teeth grinding. It's your body literally clenching your jaw, getting ready for a fight that isn't actually happening. And now, let's circle right back to where we started. For someone with a highly sensitive nervous system, a system that's already processing everything more deeply, a trip to the dentist can be a total overload of threat cues, right? The sound of the drill, those weird sensations, just feeling so vulnerable. For a sensitive system, neuroception can easily read all of that as danger, and it just kicks the body into a state of high alert. So, after all of this, what's the big takeaway? What's the most important thing to remember? It's that understanding your wiring isn't about finding something that's wrong with you. It's about shifting your focus to a quest for safety. And this quote really just sums it all up perfectly. Health is about understanding the cues that our nervous system requires to feel safe. In other words, real health isn't just about not being sick. It's about knowing what your specific, unique nervous system needs to feel safe, so it can finally stand down and turn off all those defenses. And that, right there, is the ultimate point. If you have this trait, you don't have a flaw that needs to be fixed. You have a finely tuned, high-definition surveillance system. So the goal isn't to try and numb your senses. The goal is to learn to work with your system, to listen to what it's telling you, and to start intentionally creating environments that send it a new message. Hey, you're safe. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Your nervous system is listening, right now, in this very moment. So what are you going to tell it? What's one small, intentional cue of safety that you can create in your world, maybe even today, to help your system feel just a little more secure?